Good evening. Welcome to tonight's meeting, and thank you for coming. My name is Lisa Kaplan. I'm the chair of the Sacramento Local Agency Formation Commission, also known as LAFCo. The commissioners are locally elected officials who are designated by their respective home agencies to serve on LAFCo. Our role is to oversee boundary changes of cities and special districts, the formation of new agencies, including the incorporation of new cities and districts, and the consolidation or reorganization of special districts and or our cities. The broad goals of the Commission's directive are to ensure the orderly formation of local government agencies, to preserve agriculture and open space lands, and to discourage urban sprawl. Commissions must, by law, create municipal service reviews and update spheres of influence for each independent local governmental jurisdiction within their county-wide jurisdiction. Our meetings are always open to the public and regularly scheduled. Meetings are shown live on Metro Cable Channel 14, webcast live on the Metro Cable TV website, and posted on the county's website. Comments are welcome. Please complete a speaker slip and return it to the county clerk up here. Time will be limited to 2 minutes per person to keep the meeting timely, and we kindly ask that you address your comments or questions to the commission and not the audience. So with that, clerk, can we establish a quorum?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair,
Here?
Commissioner Little,
Here.
Commissioner Carter. Here. Commissioner Hume,
Present.
Commissioner Jones,
Present.
Commissioner Desmond,
Here.
and Commissioner Pratton.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. And could you read the meeting statements?
Sure. This meeting of the Sacramento Local Agency Formation Commission is live and recorded with closed captioning. It is cablecast on Metro Cable Channel 14, the Local Government Affairs channel on the Comcast and DirecTV U-verse cable systems. It is also live streamed at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting replays Friday, March 7th at 2 p.m. on Metro Cable Channel 14. Once posted, the recording of this meeting can be viewed on demand at youtube.com/MetroCable14. The Sacramento Local Agency Formation Commission fosters public engagement during the meeting and encourages public participation, civility, and use of courteous language. The board does not condone the use of profanity, vulgar language, gestures, or other inappropriate behavior, including personal attacks or threats towards any meeting participant. Each speaker will be given 2 minutes to make a public comment and are limited to making one comment per agenda or off-agenda item. Please be mindful of the public comment procedures to avoid being interrupted or disconnected while making your comment. To make a comment in person, please fill out a speaker request form and hand it to the clerk's staff. The chairperson will open public comments for each agenda or off-agenda item and direct the clerk to call the name of each speaker. When the clerk calls your name, please come to the podium and make your comment. If a speaker is unavailable to make a comment prior to the closing of public comments, the speaker waives their request to speak, and the clerk will file the speaker request form in the record. The clerk will manage the timer and allow each speaker 2 minutes to make a comment. Dial 916-875-2500 and follow the prompts to be placed in a queue for a specific agenda or off-agenda item, which we do not do it anymore. You may send written comment by email to boardclerk@saccounty.gov. Your comment will be routed to the board and filed in the record. If you need an accommodation pursuant to the Americans with Disabilities Act or for medical or other reasons, please see clerk staff for assistance or contact the clerk's office at 916-874-5451 or by email at boardclerk@saccounty.gov. Thank you in advance for your courtesy and understanding of the meeting procedures. This concludes your announcement.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Commissioner Pratton, could you lead us in the pledge, please?
I sure can.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any additional announcements that need to be made before we get moving? No additional? All right. We can now, Madam Clerk, go to the first agenda item.
Madam Chair, the first agenda item is public comment, and we do have a few speaker requests. one for Kathy Lauer. You may come to the...
And Madam Clerk, I believe you also received written comments. Can we just add them into the public record as well?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Thank you.
I would like to start off by saying I don't know what I would do without you and your staff helping me through all this bureaucracy. I'm a hairdresser. I'm new to all of this, and you're doing a great job. I would like LAFCo to understand the moral hazard problem of the golden parachute. LAFCO has inadvertently caused for the ratepayers of DPM. The current board of directors have no incentive to do anything for its ratepayers. Why? If the 5 directors vote to dissolve, they would be rewarded with an advisory committee. 5 directors would receive stipends, pay, perks, and getting to
Is this
attend water
actually,
activities.
hold on, ma'am, sorry, quick question. Does this actually have to do with the consolidation or reorganization
Yes.
of Del Paso Manor?
Yeah.
Okay, so can we just hold off on your comments because this is public comments on items not on the agenda?
Okay.
Thank you. My apologies.
I'll just mark where I...
Yes.
Madam Clerk, we did have a comment that she wanted to make an off-agenda public comment. Ms. Lauer, you don't want to make that off-agenda public comment?
Well, I just told Rich how much I appreciate his work.
Okay, we will.
Okay, that's
Such a superfluous comment.
okay, that was her off-agenda.
You made it.
And it's in the record, so we can't strike
Right.
it.
Okay. Okay, I know she had 2 of them. Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll now move on to, is it the consent calendar?
Yes, items 2 through 4 for approval.
Is there any public comment?
We have no public comment.
All right.
Madam Chair, there could be a small clerical correction on the minutes. It does not include the participation in the votes from Dr. Jana Krupinski-Costa, who was the alternate sitting on LAFCo last month. So with that minor correction, the minutes should be okay.
Okay. Do I have a motion with the corrections?
So moved. Second.
So I got Hume and Carter, and we can vote.
You may vote. All right, your motion passes unanimously.
All right, and the next item, Madam Clerk, if you could read that into the record as well.
Okay, Madam Chair, item 5 is public hearing to consider and approve CEQA categorical exemption 15320 and the reorganization of Del Paso Manor Water District into Sacramento Suburban Water District, LAFCo project number 2024-01.
If I could have the presentation pulled up on the screen, please. Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Today, you are here to listen and consider the reorganization of the Del Paso Manor Water District into Sacramento Suburban Water District. Essentially, the map here shows the service area that's being involved. The hashed area is the current Del Paso Manor Water District. The larger area outlined in black is the Sacramento Suburban Water District. Del Paso Manor is about 672 acre, and it will be dissolved and annexed into Sacramento Suburban's existing 18,823 acre service area. The Sacramento Suburban area includes portions of the unincorporated communities of Arden Arcade, Carmichael, and North Highlands. The project description is the dissolution of the Del Paso Manor Water District, and it's the annexation of that service area into Sacramento Suburban Water District, or SSWD. I may also refer to it as Sac Suburban to keep it short. CEQA consideration, the lead agency is Sacramento LAFCo, and this qualifies for a categorical exemption 15320, which is changes in organization of local agencies. So the key points to consider is that the project, number 1, will not affect the service availability in either service area because SSWD is already handling 24-hour system monitoring, emergency responses, and maintenance. SSWD is in the process of recruiting additional engineers to assist with that effort, and they received the green light for that last month. SSWD and Del Paso Manor intend for the Del Paso Manor service area to operate separately. So the Del Paso Manor ratepayers will fund any necessary improvements to address water system deficiencies that are not covered by grants. Any applicable fees, taxes, or assessments will comply with all applicable laws, including Proposition 218. So the creating a Del Paso Manor service area serves two purposes. Number one, to protect the ratepayers for SSWD from incurring any costs associated with any system improvements in the Del Paso Manor area. And number two, it provides a readily identifiable area for any future grants that SSWD may apply to. They've already applied to one type of grant, which at the moment is being processed, but there are also a couple other grants that they would be eligible for to apply, and they have a readily identifiable service area of whether it's going to be targeted. The key points, in order to retain Del Paso Manor's institutional knowledge, existing non-contract staff will become employees of the combined district and remain with SSWD. We're talking two, as outlined in the plan for services approved by both boards of directors. The overall impact of this project is the dissolution of the political entity known as the El Paso Manor Water District, which is mostly surrounded by Sac Suburban. Staff has determined that the project does not create irregular boundaries and will result in a more logical boundary for SSWD. Prior commission actions. It's a long road here. What's not included in the presentation is the fact that Del Paso Manor came into your radar as a result of a grand jury investigation in 2021. You conducted a preliminary MSR, which you adopted in 2022, but circumstances had changed that prompted the creation of an addendum, and you approved that addendum on May 1st, 2024. And that action was consistent with Government Code Section 56430. The report found that there were numerous equipment and infrastructure deficiencies in the Del Paso Manor water system, and this led the Commission to adopt a resolution to intent to dissolve Del Paso Manor Water District, and in accordance with the law, you gave the district 12 months to address those deficiencies. Soon after the Commission action, the boards of both districts, Sac Suburban and El Paso Manor, started discussions about reorganization, and they've been in negotiations ever since. They conducted a operational study, they conducted a fiscal study, and they found that the reorganization was going to be feasible. So as a result, in December of 2024, they applied to LAFCo to reorganize on their own, and consistent with that application, you considered adopting a zero sphere of influence for Del Paso Manor at the February meeting, and this action is consistent with 56425. And you also adopted a positive sphere for Sac Suburban at the same meeting that encompasses the Del Paso Manor Water District service area. You have project hearing and election exemption. I'm sorry, Council, did you wanted to add that? Oh, okay. You have two additional things that don't necessarily pop up in regular commission proposals. And so I'm going to try to walk through these because they can get complex fairly quickly. Government Code 57077.1C, subsection 1, allows the Commission to approve and order a dissolution of a district without an election or protest proceedings if the dissolution is consistent with a prior commission action under 56378, 56425, or 56430. So you have two of the government code sections that have already been considered there. Last year in May, you did a 56430 adoption of the addendum MSR. And then last month, you did an action consistent with 56425 with the adoption of the zero sphere. Typically, dissolutions of special districts have to go through to an election of the electorate unless there are two separate items that can be ticked off. 57077.1 C1 is one of them. And so you bypass an election for the dissolution. And the second code to consider is 56853. With the approved Board of Director resolutions, the Commission has no authority to deny the reorganization proposal. Additionally, as stated in Government Code 57077.1C, The dissolution will proceed without an election or protest hearing because it aligns with the prior commission action. So by both boards adopting similar resolutions of application to LAFCo, it takes away your discretionary authority to deny the project. You can only approve unconditionally or approve conditionally. In the madness of yesterday, you received an amended resolution which includes this condition of approval, which is that you designate Sacramento Suburban as the successor agency for Del Paso Manor for all obligations, assets, rights, and liabilities attributable to Del Paso Manor, and they're transferred to SSWD, included but not limited to any and all rights to title, interest, and real and personal property for Del Paso Manor. And then we also amended one of the existing conditions at the request of council. And so the amended condition is C. The SSWD board will take action within its authority and discretion within the first 6 months of the commission's approval of this reorganization to create a separately designated service area or to form a separate assessment district, community services facilities district, or zone of benefit within the Del Paso Manor Water District service area. And this is consistent with the action that we indicated earlier, that essentially even though Sacramento Suburban will be one district, there's a specific designated area for the Del Paso Manor community. So your determinations are to the application for this reorganization, for the dissolution of Del Paso Manor Water District and the annexation of Del Paso Manor Water District service area into Sacramento Suburban Water District is made subject to Government Code 56-650 at sequitur by district resolutions. The territory proposed for the project is within the spheres of influence for the Del Paso Manor Water District and SSWD. The project will provide a more logical and orderly boundary for Sacramento Suburban. The project will not result in any negative impacts to the cost and adequacy of service provided by the area and is in the best interest of all the affected area and the total organization of the local government agencies. In addition, the project will not have any adverse effects on agriculture or open space lands, and the project will not result in a decrease in water supply available for the build-out of regional housing needs determined by the Sacramento Area Council of Governments. The project will not have a significant foreseeable effect on the ability of the county to adequately accommodate its fair share of those needs. That concludes, the recommendations are listed on the staff report, but here they are. To adopt LAFCo Resolution LAFC-2025-07, recognizing that LAFCO is the lead agency and that this is subject to a categorical exemption 15320. You will adopt a resolution, the recommendation is to adopt Resolution LAFC 2025-08, adding any additional conditions that the Commission finds appropriate, and approve the reorganization of the dissolution of the Del Paso Manor Water District into Sacramento Suburban Water District. You will direct myself and my staff to complete all the necessary filings and transmittals as required by law. You will determine the effective date of the approval of this agreement to be 5 working days after the recordation of the certificate of completion by the county recorder once the conditions are met. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Commissioners, if you don't mind, I'd like to go to public comment first, then we can ask our questions thereafter. Madam Clerk?
Madam Chair, we do have 3 speaker slips, and we also have Crystal Haney online if she'd like to answer any questions or address any questions. Could we call to the lectern first Kathy Lauer?
The problem I'm having now with this is that at the last minute, both districts slipped in an advisory committee with benefits, pay, perks, trips to Washington, D.C. The ratepayers of Del Paso Manor, an advisory committee made up of 5 directors, it has been in bad faith that we have been forced to have an advisory committee that we cannot afford at this time. I have a business. I've had a business for 40 years. My husband, Kurt, was in management at UPS. He got bonuses based on not having accidents. Why? Because accidents come off the profit of the terminal and it affects his bonus. The opposite has happened here with Del Paso Manor. This is a failed business, and now they're being rewarded. The manager's being rewarded with severance and all of these things. So there's no incentive for him to do anything to help us. He wouldn't even help with getting grants. We've got director over here that started out in 2022 saying she wanted everyone to have water and fire protection. But I called her last summer when it was hot in the end of the summer and let her know how water was just pouring down the gutter. And she tells me, we can't do anything about this. We don't have directors. We don't have a staff. We don't have directors. If I had a business and I charged my customers for a service and did not give them that service, that would be fraud. There has been no incentive for anybody to do anything to help the good people of Del Paso Manor because they're being rewarded by Sac Suburban with an advisory committee, jobs, perks, and pay. So I 100% object to this advisory committee being just put in at the last minute. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, we have Mr. Carl Dolk. Will you please come to the lectern?
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My name is Carl Dolk, and I serve as the Board President of the Del Paso Manor Water District. On behalf of the DPM Board, we support the combination with Sacramento Suburban Water District. Del Paso Manor residents have also expressed their support by voting for candidates in favor of the combination. The DPM Water District has been around for 70 years. Despite our numerous infrastructure deficiencies, lack of funds, and infighting, we received excellent service from those field workers and office staff who served the district during its seven-decade history. It's understandable why many residents wanted to remain independent. I thank our General Manager, Adam Coyan, for his steadfast support to see a better path forward for DPM. He put what is best for the district at risk to his own career. The joint board meetings went smoothly due to the hard work that SSWD General Manager Dan York and his staff accomplished by keeping both boards on task. My board colleagues and I are grateful for the SSWD board's patience, professionalism, fairness, and willingness to help a community in need. Lastly, we would not be here today without Executive Officer Enriquez, without his intervention. He recognized that we were operating on thin ice, and he proceeded to do what was necessary to remedy our situation. His commitment to the process was incredible. He attended either in person or online most, if not all, of DPM's board and joint board meetings. Thank you, Mr. Enriquez, for your public service to the residents of Del Paso Manor. You have made a difference. And thank you, Supervisor Desmond, for your contribution. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Dan York. Will you please come to the lectern?
Yeah, good evening, Madam Chair, fellow commission members. My name is Dan York. I'm the General Manager with Sacramento Suburban Water District. I want to start initially by thanking this commission for making this tough decision to reorganize this district into Sac Suburban to ensure that those ratepayers get a safe and reliable but affordable water supply. I know that commission last year mentioned that last word several times. I also like to thank the Sac Suburban Board for accepting this challenge to reorganize. We look forward to treating those customers and operating their system that we do our customers too. Up to this point too, the Del Paso Board and their employees have been a pleasure to work with. We have a lot of work left to do, but we look forward to it. But I can't leave this evening without, again, or also thanking Mr. Enrique, our Executive Director. For the last 4 years, Sac Suburban has been in combination discussions with Carmichael Water District and San Juan Water District. This gentleman was at every single board meeting, joint board meeting, and workshop. Spent a lot of time away from his family. As you know, this process is not easy. It's very difficult. So whenever I had a question about the LAFCo process, I pointed directly at him. And he always had the answer. So again, we look forward to, if you make a decision to operate in that system, treating our customers the way we do, to again make sure they get that safe, reliable, and affordable water. Thank you.
Madam Chair, we do not have any more speaker slips. However, we do have Crystal Haney online. Crystal, would you like to make any comments at this time?
Plan West partners. I assisted the districts with their application to LAFCo, and I am here to answer questions that you may have. And I really appreciate all the collaboration that has gone on between LAFCo and the two districts that has made this all possible.
Thank you, Crystal.
All right, now turning it over to commissioners, none other than Commissioner Desmond, who has fearlessly led this for many years on behalf of his community.
Well, that's a bit of an overstatement, but thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate that, and I really appreciate the support from the Commission and the support from Jose and the work by the LAFCo staff, and especially our Executive Director. I want to echo those comments from both Carl and Dan. You have done a lot of great work on this, Jose. Thank you. And I've certainly learned a lot through this whole process. I think as several of us have. Commissioner Jones already knew all these things that were occurring. But,
That's an overstatement.
And I appreciate you being here and seeing Apollo again. Of course, that it is. Obviously, this has been something that's extremely important to the community as well, how this was going to end up. One thing procedurally. So the reason we didn't have to move forward with a forced dissolution is because they changed their board and they voted to approve the change or the merger with Sac Suburban. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so I want to make sure that because we would have had to go a different route here if the board did not support this, the Del Paso Manor board.
Correct.
I did have a question about not so much the advisory board, but it's in terms of the governance structure. And I don't know if you can answer this. I was looking through the report. I didn't see a whole lot of detail about that. Are they elected at large in Sac Suburban?
No, they're elected by districts.
Okay, and what
Division. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
district or division.
Yes.
Will the Del Paso Manor Water District be entirely within one of those existing divisions? And I don't know if
The board will have to reallocate it based on election law. At the moment, the Del Paso Manor Water District actually falls neatly, half of it in one division and the other half in another division.
Okay.
But at some point, consistent with election law, they will revisit their divisions to make sure that the distribution of residents, of constituents, is equal within a certain percentage point of each other.
Okay. So that still has to be determined, but it could very well be that Del Paso Manor residents would have the opportunity of possibly running in either in two separate divisions within Sac Suburban.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's important. It's not spelled out too much in the report what Sac Suburban plans to do with that. And Dan, I don't know if you had any additional comments, but Madam Chair, would you mind if Dan York from Sac Suburban?
Absolutely.
Dan, could you kind of shed any light on what your discussions have been, what your plan is?
Yes. So right now, we've received a draft map from the Sacramento County Registrar's Office. And as Jose mentioned, Del Paso is right in the middle of our district. It's 1 square mile. So they gave us a draft. So we have divisions 4 and 5 where it falls in. So 3/4 of Del Paso falls in Division 5, and 1/4 of it goes into Division 4.
Okay. And I think it's important that the residents of Del Paso Manor understand that they will, have the opportunity to run for a seat on the Sac Suburban board. I mean, that is going to be available to them and be represented on that board. In terms of the service area, so now it looks like Sac Suburban will have 3 service areas because they currently have a north and a south, and this will be a 3rd service area, a Del Paso Manor service area. You mentioned, I saw the one, and it's a few slides back, where you changed the verbiage from encompasses to within. I mean, encompasses to me means it would be entirely the entire Del Paso Manor Water District existing area. Within the Del Paso Manor Water District service area, to me, suggests that it could potentially be a smaller area than that entire Del Paso Manor Water District as it exists today. I'm looking at council. Is that the case or not? Maybe just some assurance that this service area is going to actually be the entire service area that Del Paso Manor Water District has today.
Yeah, and I'll ask the executive officer to help because this was a change that was requested by Sac Suburban's council. The intent, I believe, is as you described, but if the executive officer has anything else to add.
Yeah, the intent is to be basically that service area to be all of the current service area for Del Paso Manor.
Okay. Okay.
The request was made because originally, as you can see from the language, we just called it a zone of benefit, and they were saying that that was a little bit too limiting because operationally and administratively they may designate it something else, and they didn't want to run afoul of the LAFCo condition by calling it a zone of benefit when they could have used a community facilities district or an assessment district or some other type of mechanism to do what we're asking them to do, basically
Got it.
carve it out. And again, the language is consistent with what they requested.
Okay, I just want to clarify that if you're not just carving out a specific piece of the current Del Paso Manor Water District that is going to be this new service area, it is going to be, that service area will be the current map of Del Paso Manor Water District.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
Yes.
And then in terms of the billing for the ratepayers, it's going to be a separate, they will have, in that service area, obviously they will have a separate rate structure for them. And they talk about how after all the rehabilitations are done, and a lot of that's going to be dependent on what grants are available, at some point the objective would be that all the ratepayers would be billed the same at some point. Is that the objective long term?
That is the objective long term, because basically there's going to be a remedial period that transitions them from where they are right now to where Sacramento Suburban is. Obviously, there's got to be some infrastructure improvements and infrastructure replacement that's going to happen along the way. So we know the starting point, we know the end point. We don't know the time frame of the end point, but there's a lot of things that happen in between those 2 points.
And the state grants are probably going to be the biggest factor in that.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions, commissioners? I just too want to echo our executive officer and staff handled this masterfully. This could have gone in so many different directions. This was fraught with a lot of disagreement, and this is the best possible way it could have ended up. And a lot of it has to go to your leadership and working collaboratively with both districts and being quite tenacious about this is the way and getting there. So thank you for your leadership on this. I think this truly should be a masterclass on the difficulty of how you do things, but the right way of how you do things. So, commissioners, do I have a motion of all of the recommended actions?
I'll second that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kay. I'd love to second that. Thank you very much.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in, vote.
You may vote.
I'm all in, all in favor, say aye.
Yeah. Your motion passes unanimously.
Oh, and that was Desmond and Jones. All right, a motion passes by 7-0. Again, thank you everyone for all of your work on this. Truly, job well done by everybody. Nothing's perfect, but this was pretty darn close. Madam Clerk, our next item.
Madam Chair, item 6 is receive update from General Counsel on the Sacramento County reclassification of the LAFCo Executive Officer and provide direction.
Thank you, Deanne Gillick, General Counsel for the Commission. I'm happy to report that I am told Tuesday, March 11th, the Board of Supervisors is going to consider the approval of the new job description for the executive officer position, as well as a new salary schedule based upon a county-conducted salary schedule. I have not received the staff report for the action item. It will be published tomorrow. I'm told by tomorrow by 1 p.m. For the final information. There was a salary survey that was conducted. There is a proposed increase in the salary survey starting from the existing principal planner maximum position up. I don't have the details of what it all is, but it is an increase. It will be published tomorrow. And then I presume that after the Board of Supervisors approval, that perhaps we will reconvene that personnel committee that we reestablished last month for an update and the next steps and to evaluate the Board of Supervisors' action.
Thank you so much. Commissioners, any comments?
Hallelujah.
Thank you to our county supervisors who have led this as well. Really appreciate it because I think we've all seen by what action we just took tonight, our executive officer deserves a raise. The Board of Supervisors action will implement the new salary, which will be effective at the next pay period. So that will be implemented. I will report back, what that is and what that is. But just so you know, that is going to play into place. I think March 23rd is the beginning of the pay period that will be effective.
Yep.
Thank you.
Long time coming.
Absolutely. Any other business before us? Executive officer comments?
Happy to report that the LAFCo workshop will be in, very end of April, beginning of May, down in Temecula. We have asked your clerk, Louise Washington, to join Ms. Grabo and I down to the workshop for learning. You're discussing a master class. Actually, there is a session on Del Paso Manor relating to these government code provisions and the outcome that we've observed tonight. And that's it for my announcements. I don't know if council had any.
I just know that most of you are aware of this. The Levine Act did change at the beginning of January, just some changes on campaign contributions and the limitations and disclosures. Those that it applied to are familiar with it because of your underlining organizations, but just wanted to mention that in case anything comes up. And we will be having a reorganization proceeding coming up soon where campaign contributions may be at issue. So if there's any concerns regarding receiving campaign contributions from anyone that may be opposed or in favor or developer for the upcoming annexation, please reach out to executive officer and myself so we can help you evaluate that.
Yeah, and consistent with council's update, the next commission meeting could potentially be a big one. We're still trying to make sure that we've got everything nailed down. But your policy analyst, Grabo, will be happy to present the Astro sheet.
I have it printed out this time, so we're ready. So as mentioned, not a lot has changed from last month to this month. No new projects have been formally submitted, but just to give you an update on some of our projects, we do have the Airport South Industrial MSR and SOI project rolling forward. That potentially might be coming up soon. Then we have an application from Omno Chimney Hartnell Water District. They did submit an application. We drafted an RFP and we'll be releasing that soon to hire a consultant to draft that MSR up. And I think I mentioned last time we have a Sac Sewer annexation request for a single family residence off of U Street in Antelope area. And then consistent with Florin County Water District, you guys approved the contract, so we are kicking off that meeting with the consultant later this month, so they can start working on that. And still working on the Metro Fire MSR RFP item with that. So we're still pretty busy.
And then I just want to reiterate again, as I have stated, I have opinion from the FPPC. My alternate will be taking charge in my place when you consider Airport South because of the proximity of that project to my house. It conflicts me out.
So Vice Chair Little will be running the meeting.
Yep.
In February. In addition to the reports that Ms. Grabo provided to you, we also have one additional project. The Sac Sewer has signaled that they're ready to move on the Hood-Franklin annexation, which is consistent with prior actions that the Commission has taken in the past. So we'll get more details this Thursday.
Great. A lot of upcoming fun stuff if you really like this stuff. Do I have any comments from our commissioners? All right. Seeing and hearing none, I will call this meeting adjourned at 6:10.